a Bulldog radio podcast.
The Ferris State Bulldogs have upset the nation's #2 ranked team. Wide open! Taylor is going to take this one to the house! Touchdown Bulldogs!
It's the MVSP Season 4, Episode 18. What a show we have on deck for you folks today. Brandon Worth and Joe Nagy here. What a day it's going to be. Bob Daniels coming on the show.
Woo!
A great interview we had with him. What a stand-up guy. Absolute gem. Probably, honestly, my favorite coach here. Other than, I feel like him and Hodges are pretty fun. I know we had them two on the show, but, just in general.
Yeah, we have some great coaches here at Ferris State, but being able to talk to Coach Daniels certainly is fun. We got the full extended interview for that, so you guys can enjoy that. Got a big Ferris State preview, postseason, and more on deck this weekend. Lots at stake for the Dogs as well. As we get back to NFL predictions, Joe, we didn't count the last couple weeks.
A little bit of hiatus, about a 4-week hiatus.
Yeah, and you're lucky because I think I'd be in the lead right now if you did so. Oh, it's just a sad
doubt. Heavily doubt. But anyways, Brandon, Coach Daniels interview. Let's swing it.
Now joined in studio, head coach of Ferris State Hockey is with us, Bob Daniels. Welcome to the show.
Good to be here.
Coach, thanks so much for coming on. We really appreciate you taking time out of your day. First question for you. Last weekend, got the split against a good Bemidji State team. What are some of those key takeaways from that game that you want to see going into this Saturday and just as a team focus?
Sure, Joe. It's interesting in that there was I thought a lot of takeaways, last weekend. Some good and some not so good, but more good than bad. First of all, we took 3 out of 6 points. So basically we split. We were 500 for the weekend. And, it's a 14-hour bus ride each way. So
that's pretty tough, yeah.
It's a long way. And, especially when you're, in your 60s, it's a long time to be in a seat. But it's hard on the guys, too. So, Bemidji State came into the weekend. They were number 20 in the country and a very good team. And for us to go in there and come away with 3 points was a big deal. I thought Friday night, Loganstein was the story. He played really well. We gave a lot of shots up. We were in our end of the rink for long periods of time. Now, we were in our end, though, and not giving up high-quality scoring chances. Matter of fact, it was interesting. The next night, we gave up maybe a third less shots. We spent a third less time in our own zone, but they had as many quality opportunities. And the quality opportunities for both teams, when you look at it over both nights, was the same. So the things I liked our defensive structure. I thought the guys made a really good adjustment late in the game between the second and third period Friday night. We wanted to tighten up and be more aggressive in the defensive zone so we'd spend less time in there. We talked about some things. They went out and executed perfectly, and they carried it over to Saturday's play. I thought the big difference, too, between when we played St. Thomas at home and we would play at Bemidji, we had 17 minutes shorthanded each night against St. Thomas. And in this weekend, we were short 4 minutes each night, 2 penalties each night, and that was the big thing we talked about. So going into this weekend now, what we've been really pushing on, we want to be good. We want to have more possession in the offensive zone. We've got to change our mindset there. We want to continue the good defensive zone play we've had, and we want to stay out of the penalty box. Obviously, goaltending, both Noah, Logan played great last weekend. Our power play's been really good. So my biggest issue right now is trying to find a way for us to score more goals 5-on-5.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and you have such a different team from, especially from last year. A lot of seniors moving on to great things, and now with having a lot of transfers come in, there's a lot of the freshmen that are getting in on some of those early lines. Just talk about the team dynamic overall from so far from last year, now that what you've seen this year.
If you don't mind, Brandon, I'd like to go back even to the previous year. If you think about, that was the COVID year, so
sure,
it was
yeah.
weird.
Yeah.
No fans at all, just a really weird, situation.
It was surreal.
Yeah.
Thinking back, it seems like it was 50 years ago, but it was only 2.
Mm-hmm.
Back that year, we only played 24 games that year, but we only won 1, and that was against a Division III opponent, Trine. And it wasn't that it was an awful team or the guys were bad or didn't work hard. It was we were really young that year, And because of that and the fact that we really couldn't practice very much, like there was 2 weeks at a time, multiple times we went 2 weeks or a week at a time, quarantine where we couldn't get on the ice. It was just the most bizarre. We would sit in locker rooms before the game, and we were waiting on test results from a couple players on the visiting team. And I don't know if you remember, early in the year we were supposed to play Alabama Huntsville.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And we were sitting there in the locker room, fully ready. And then, like 10 minutes before the game, we pushed the game back even to wait on these tests. And they never came, and the other team had just get on the bus and go. It was the weirdest. But anyways, the genesis for, I think, an improved Bulldog hockey team started that year. The work habits were good when we could work. Going to last year, I liked our work habits last year. I think we started laying some groundwork there. And then this year, it's taken another step. And I think our leadership right now is really good, really strong. The team dynamic is good. The culture of the team is really good. So it's a pleasure to go to the rink each and every day. And I think that's the biggest change. Now, we know we're not where we want to be yet, but boy, we can see light at the end of the tunnel. And I think what you're going to see is a team this year that's going to be pretty much in every game. Now, there might be one game where we run away with it. There might be a game where we get run over. That's hockey, and that happens over a 34-game year. But I think what you're going to see, particularly in conference, is going to be every night, like very similar to what we've seen. A lot of OT, a lot of shootouts, but I really feel our team. I have high hopes that we can get home ice in the first round of the playoffs. Still, I think we're playing that well. The first 2 weekends of conference play, we've gotten points each weekend. So I feel good about this team. We've got some real challenges ahead, but I feel very good about this team.
Yeah, we'd love to pack the dog pound for you. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. And thinking, too, especially with transfers, is a big thing in college hockey. What's that like for you as a coach to be able to – do you kind of reach out to those players when they're in the portal, or are they kind of more player-first type stuff?
Good question, Joe. We only have one transfer this year, Matt Slick. Mm-hmm. And we're looking for a particular type of transfer. A lot of times kids in the transfer portal there's an issue at their current school. Mm-hmm. They're not getting the ice time they want. Maybe they ran into trouble off the ice.
Yeah.
I mean, we just don't know what the dynamic is. But if like, I'll give you Matt's case, and this is why it worked out, and it's working out so well for us. Matt he got the extra year because of COVID, so he played 4 years at Holy Cross. He was a 2-year captain there. They don't have graduate programs there. So this is year 5. He graduated last year, at the end of last year. So he's looking for a school with a graduate program. We've got an MBA here. So we did reach out to him. We talked to his current coaches first because you want to know, hey, is there an issue there? Or they couldn't say enough good things about him. We had numerous conversations. We came away thinking what a very mature person he is. And so we needed another defenseman. We could have used, we lost DeVita to the transfer portal, Nico DeVita. And so we're like, well, we could use a 1-year help here. And it worked out perfectly. But we would prefer to only use it in cases like that, one here, maybe one there, but not try to build a program off of that. Mm-hmm. And so then you look at our younger players like a Connor McGrath, Schleppy, Shouty back on defense, a player you haven't heard a lot about yet, Caden Galt, but I think he's got a bright future. So that's a strong group of first-year freshmen that we can get into our culture, and they'll help perpetuate the culture that, hardworking, responsible away from the rink, what we're trying to build here. And I don't think you can do it if you're always going to the portal. And you can see how good Connor McGrath is already. He's, was CCHA Rookie of the Week already once, could have been twice. He sees a lot of ice for us already. And I think those are the kind of players that in the long run, we're going to be able to build our program around. So to answer your question, it's a mix of the two. We would prefer to bring in recruits that, are freshmen and then use the portal as needed. Mm-hmm. It's really a tough job now, though. The ability for kids, we're not sure there's probably going to be a player or two that may want to transfer at the end of the year away from us. So, you're looking at, the crystal ball trying to say, what do we need to recruit this year? We've got 4 commits. This is signing week right now, the early signing period. I'm not at liberty to release who these players are yet until all the signing, the paperwork's come in. But we're excited about the 4 commits we have. And then once we get to April and the dust settles and we see, okay, are we going to lose any other guys? Plus, COVID's wreaked havoc with recruiting. We've got guys with ability to come back next year, but they may not want to. They may graduate and want to try pro hockey. So trying to figure out exactly what we need is hard.
A whole bunch of things going on.
It's never been this difficult.
For sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned the recruiting, and I know even flashback for me and you, Coach Daniels, in the summer when we had a chat about recruiting for another show that I was doing. And it's really changed. I mean, for you, being in the college ranks as a head coach for so long, and you've been able to see the dynamic of recruiting change drastically. How much of those changes have you seen, especially going from those early years you were coaching where it was a lot more old-fashioned coaches reached out, where now there's a lot of players that are going out, they're having these recruiting profiles, they're submitting a lot of their stuff from you rather than maybe necessarily the coaches making that move forward?
Well, it has changed dramatically in the old days. When I first started out, though, there was hidden gems. There was players that would literally go on scene at times, if they were off the beaten path, and they were good players. You had to work to find them. Back then too, it was a lot of word of mouth. It was friends you had, because we recruit the state of Michigan really hard. That's our bread and butter. But we also go, anywhere through Canada, Chicago, Minnesota, New York. Primarily it's Michigan based, but we're all over. And then we've got a Czech player this year. We had a Finn last year. So we've got players from all over the world. What I found though, the hidden gems are less out there. Everybody knows I can get on my computer and watch shifts of just about any player in the world.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I also remember when I first started, we did a lot of in-home visits. We would, you'd go meet the parents and siblings. You don't even do that anymore. Now everything's Zoom. You can zoom in on it. So the good news is it's less expensive. You're not flying all over or driving everywhere. The bad news is, though, the relationship building isn't what it used to be. And so you kind of miss those. Other things have changed. The loyalty thing is not as strong as it was. Back then, you had a player, you got them for 4 years. If you committed them on a verbal before they signed their letter of intent, they lived by that. The coaches live by that. Now you're seeing players change their commitments. You can see the one-time transfer starting to really change things a lot. But, my feeling, just because of the way I was brought up through hockey, is I'd like to see the loyalty factor go both directions. I've never been one to cut players unless there's misconduct away from the rink. But if a player's not working out as we thought they were, it's our job to work with them and help them grow. And we've been rewarded over the years tremendously. Some guys all of a sudden blossom year 3, year 4 even. And it's really helped our program out a lot. So I want to show that loyalty to them, and I'd like to have the loyalty returned back in terms of, things may not be working out for you right now, but the answer isn't always, well, I'm going to get in the transfer portal. And I'm going to, because what the kids we've seen leave from here, their situations haven't improved somewhere else. And they were probably better off. If you look at it as a bank account, they had a certain level of deposits in the Ferris State Hockey Bank account because of all their hard work up to that point.
Yeah.
And so we're rooting for them, even though they didn't play a lot, maybe year 1 or 2. We're rooting for them for it to work out. But if you transfer somewhere else, there's not that bank account built up. And so if things don't go well right away in year 3 there, they're like, well, this kid can't play. And too much of that happens now, I think, where coaches give up on players or players give up on the coaches or the program. So if we can build that loyalty, and it's important, it's hard, and I get it. I do agree with one aspect of this transfer. There are situations where, a player is just totally unhappy, and they should have the ability to go somewhere. Or maybe they are being mistreated. Maybe for whatever reason the coach is picking on them. I'd like to think I don't do that, ever single out a guy that I'm riding all the time. But maybe that's the case, and why shouldn't they have that ability to go somewhere else? So I do get this one time, but I really I try to caution our players that don't just leave because things are difficult. There's going to always be difficulties. So let's fight through them. Let's do it together. And I think then if you can have that loyalty, you can build a strong foundation. And then hopefully we're all rewarded with good product on the ice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, embracing the difficulty is really what's going to make you a better player. But Ferris hockey, seen the likes of Chris Kunitz. Trevor Large, coach of Canisius, was part of your squad back in 2004. And, head coach of the Red Wings, Derek Lalonde, was an assistant to you. How cool is that for you to see a lot of these coaches and players that you've been able to interact with have success on the next level of hockey?
It's awesome. And a matter of fact, Jeff Blashill,
oh yeah,
the coach of the Red Wings,
countless in number. Yeah,
it seems like you've got to be a Ferris coach that was a goaltending coach here to coach the Red Wings. But no, it's great. I get a big kick out of it, and it's been very rewarding for us. There's a coach right now with the Rochester in the American Hockey League. By the name of Seth Appert. Now, Seth was a goalie for us and coached with us for a number of years and went on to the University of Denver. Ended up being head coach at RPI. But anyways, now he's head coach in the American League, one step away from being an NHL head coach. And when we started having some issues with our defensive zone, when, just sometimes it's nice to be able to reach out to somebody, send them some video clips of our team. He could look at them and give us some input back. And it's good to have a whole different set of eyes. And then he took an hour out of his day a couple of weeks ago to make a presentation on how they do their defensive zone coverage, which is a little different than how we do ours. We didn't steal everything completely from him, but I took some things from him I thought that we could incorporate with our team. So I get a kick out of seeing the guys matriculate up to the NHL, but I also get a lot of benefits too from it. The ability just to reach out. I was on the phone I think it was yesterday, maybe the day before, with Trevor Large, the head coach at Canisius. We're looking at trying to do a video room in our locker room area. They have one, and so I wanted pictures of that and asked them, what would you do different now if we're going to build this room as a video room. So I've gotten a lot of good feedback from these coaches. A couple of years ago when we announced captains, we did it via Zoom. We had Jeff Blashill actually come on. We had our guys in the heavy equipment auditorium. And so Jeff came on and announced our captains for us. It's just things like that. And it's great to see that they're doing well and they're willing to give back to the program and want to see us succeed.
That's very cool. Well, many people know you, Coach, on the ice for obviously being the head coach, being in the nice dapper suit and tie on the bench. But when you're not coaching hockey, what does Coach Daniels do in the offseason?
Well, I have a lot of hobbies. I'm not going to be one that when the day comes and it's time to retire, I'll transition very easily into it because I love the golf. I try to get out in the golf course as much as I can. I never seem to be able to get out as much as I'd like to, but I for most people, they say, boy, you get out there quite a bit. So you can find me on the golf course. I also, I live on a lake. I live on Lake Cadillac now. I moved.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I lived 31 years in Big Rapids. And then a couple years ago, I moved up to Cadillac. And so I got a pontoon boat. I like to get out there.
I just like to scoot around the water.
I do.
Yeah, pontoon is nice.
That's nice.
Yeah, occasionally I might have a beer in my hand. And then
can't blame you on that one.
Yeah.
Can't blame you on that one.
I think that comes with it, having to being on the pontoon. So those are. I also like to road bike. I got into that a number of years ago. Dave Sensor, our strength and conditioning coach, kind of turned me onto that. I didn't know how expensive the road bikes were, and I'd biked before, like on a Walmart bike, and I'm like, this is awful. But he's like, you got to try it on a real good bike, and I did. I'm like, hey, this is fun, and so I've been doing that quite a bit the past few summers. So those are just some of the hobbies I like, and obviously in the summer there is some recruiting. We do some camps, so it's not like we shut it down. But probably, I still get a really nice summer, and I'm able to take advantage of the outdoors. Anytime I can be outside, whether it's golfing, boating, or biking, I prefer to be outside, certainly in the summer.
Yeah, for sure. That sounds like a blast. But don't have a big road trip coming up soon, but do have Minnesota State up after, I think, next week when Northern Michigan comes to town. What's that? You mentioned earlier, 60 years old, it's a little bit tough to be on like those road trips for 9-10 hours, but what are the kind of the remedies that you found have really worked for you as the years have gone by?
Motrin before I get on the bus. I don't wait for the pain to come anymore. I'll take a couple Motrin before I get on the bus. And then as soon as I get off the bus. And then what people probably don't know is after the games, we just pile right back on the bus.
Mm-hmm.
Like as soon as the game's over, we give the guys 25 minutes to shower, load the bus, and we want wheels rolling because we want to get home. But that's, again, you're looking at a 12-hour bus ride home. And what I found sometimes over the years is, if we roll in, say we leave, all right, Minnesota State will leave around 10 o'clock at night, but the hour time change will maybe get in at 11 o'clock in the morning on Sunday. Once the guys clear out, I might hop on the stationary bike, real simple, just move my legs, and then hop in the sauna for another 20 minutes. And that usually makes me feel a lot better.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but it does. It takes me, out my age, it does take me a couple days to really shake off a trip. So it's not terrible, and it's fun, and I love everything about it. I don't even mind the rides out because we usually, leave early in the day, and so we're riding through the day, and that's fun to see the different sites and so forth. But it's just the ride home that really, you're like, geez, it'd be nice to get on a plane and just fly right home. But
have a nice 1 hour trip instead of a 13 hour or something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. But Coach Daniels, we appreciate the time. Final question for you, like to ask all the athletes and coaches we bring on the show. It's been your favorite thing about being here at Ferris State and being a Bulldog?
God, there's so much, but if I had to bring it down to a certain thing, it's the people. I absolutely, and I'm not going to keep it narrowed down to just the people that work at Ferris, which is the ones I know the closest are obviously the ones in the athletic department, the other coaches, and I have a world of respect for them. You can see how successful all the coaches are, and it's great. Even though it's a completely different sport, I love sitting down with the other coaches and picking their brain. They can give you, there's certain things, how they plan practices and what they do for practices, or, hey, have you ever had a situation with a player come up like this and how did you handle it? And it's wonderful to be able to share that. I've worked for great athletic directors, Perk Weisenberger, Tom Krinovic, and now Steve Brocklebank. I've really had some great people to work underneath. The coaches that I work with on our staff, and then obviously the players. And I do think hanging around a college campus and being around college kids is, what a treat it is for me. I feel like I'm almost stealing getting paid to do it. It's something I would probably do for free, just coaching hockey and just, I do think it helps keep you young by hanging around a college campus. And I love that. And I love the fact that, you see the kids going to school and, it's such a big part of their life and time in their life. It's a time for self-improvement and education, but it's also time to have some fun too. And so all that goes together, and it just made for me being here for as long as I have just a tremendous experience.
That's awesome.
Coach, thank you so much for coming on. Good luck this weekend against Mercyhurst. And once again, thank you so much.
And thank you. It's great to get in your studio here, by the way, and see. I didn't know you had such a swanky place.
Oh, yeah.
Too kind. Too kind. Really.
I think anybody listening should take time to come by and take a look if they can find it.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Thank you again, Coach.
Yeah,
Dan.
Thanks, guys.
Big thanks to Coach Daniels for hopping on the pod. I mean, I feel like our audience is absolutely spoiled. We're bringing the banger interviews.
I mean, if we're doing what we're doing, we're just good at what we do, and you guys are just getting blessed, not going to lie.
Yeah,
not to toot our own horns, but, the content we produce is pretty good.
Yeah, it's some top-tier content, but we thank you all for tuning in as well, and we love to make this stuff for you. Make sure you subscribe on all of our podcast platforms, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, wherever you get your podcasts as well as follow us on Instagram and Twitter. We're posting all the content that we can to keep you guys entertained. So we appreciate all the follows and stuff there. But Ferris State Sports Report we go, Joe.
Yeah, cannot wait. Time for us to also have a slice of our own humble pie real quick.
Oh, yeah.
To our own horns. But go with hockey. Mercyhurst is coming to town on Saturday. 1-game exhibition this weekend. A little bit different than the 2-day Friday-Saturday setup. But Mercyhurst, a good team, not a historically just like powerhouse or anything like that, but they are a team that's been like around and in Division I hockey for a pretty long time. Out of Pennsylvania, Brendan McCallion is on this team. He's a former Bulldog, hit the transfer portal. It's going to be a good one.
Yeah, it's going to be a good one. I mean, it is technically registered as an exhibition. Obviously, it's kind of weird to see an exhibition a couple weeks into the season, but only one game this weekend, which definitely can bring a lot of great things. You can get a lot of guys some rest, especially not having to play back-to-back, especially with Bowling Green, a big series coming up on deck next weekend. But yeah, you really look at this weekend an opportunity to work on some things, be able to maybe put in some new schemes as well as see different lines in action, right? You have this opportunity. I think it's kind of really cool that they scheduled at this time, because now you can kind of see what kind of different things you can come with, because this one really doesn't matter for record, and so you can really do a lot of different things. So I'll be really interested to see what Coach Daniels does. But I mean, right now they've been playing some really good hockey. I mean, especially in the weekend against the Beavers, number 20 in the nation, as Coach Daniels said, and being able to get points from them was absolutely huge. And I mean, we were great overall on the penalty kill, 100%, 0 for 4 the Beavers were on the power play last weekend. Our defense has ramped it up. Just got to get that offense, and this could be a prime opportunity to get that offense back on track this weekend.
Yeah, for sure, and especially with exhibition games, the good thing about it is you can dress a lot more people within reason. We were talking to Coach Daniels before we got on the mics with him before the interview, and he was saying that, like, it's going to be a good thing, to be able to put some new guys in, have some guys rest and stuff like that, and still keep it really competitive, which is a big thing, and which is really cool, too, because, you're going to see some guys who might have, not gotten so much ice time, but be able to kind of prove if there's kind of some diamonds in the rough type deal, even within our own roster, and, give some rest to some older guys, too, but keeping it competitive is the name of the game, and I think we're going to be able to do that, and it's going to be a good test, especially like you said, Brandon, coming off of Bemidji State, and really getting ready for this Bowling Green matchup coming up next week, which is going to be pretty key, seeing that, a good sweep, a good regulation time sweep is going to be big, especially for hopping up in the standings for CCHA.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, right now for us in the standings, we're in a pretty good spot right now. We are, I believe, 5th as of last time I checked in the standings so far, which we did have an opportunity to take that number 1 spot at one point. Obviously, the cards didn't fall in our favor, but I mean, this team has much improved. I mean, we've seen a lot of good things already this year. It's still early, so like Coach Daniels said, there's still a lot of improvement to be made. But right now, where you're sitting at 3-5-2, not a bad place to be, especially for how tough this conference is. But no, there's going to be a really fun opportunity this weekend. 1 o'clock puck drop. And students, rock the dog pound, because we're letting you in for free. You don't have excuses, man. Come on, let's rock it. You ain't even got
to pay.
No.
It's going to be big time.
Free Division I hockey. What's better than that?
There's literally nothing better than that. So
yeah.
I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, I would encourage anybody in town that has never watched hockey to go watch hockey. And the reason why is, I mean, I was in this boat when I was a kid, obviously being from around here, from Reed City, just up the road. I was taking to my first Ferris State hockey game, I believe, when I was like 12 or 13 years old. One of my most favorite experiences from a sporting event standpoint, just because hockey, it's so fast, energetic, and there's no breaks. It's not like football where you kind of have a playoff where you have 45 seconds on, 45 seconds off. It is go, go, go. Obviously, you do have a little bit of those short stoppages for face-offs, but it's very high intensity. It's a really close-range sport, so you're right on top of the action the whole time, and it's super fun. You can bring your friends, and you can have a really nice time, and you don't have to worry about the weather. It is a little bit chillier, so you might want to bring a jacket, but
you can tailgate before.
Yeah, you could if you want to.
Have fun, get a little boozed up, come on in, have some good time.
Yeah.
I mean, people do that. Football is the same thing.
Yeah, it's true.
You can really tailgate at anything.
Sure.
You can tailgate whatever you want. It doesn't even have to be sports.
That's
you can
true.
Tailgate graduation.
Okay, that would be crazy.
If you really want to.
Yes.
Either way, it's going to be.
As long as you're of age, of course. We don't promote those things.
Do not drink if you're underage.
Absolutely.
Straight up. Don't do it.
Yes.
Anyways, going to be a good time. Some matchups across the CCHA, Lake State and Michigan Tech are going to be taking each other on a 2-day little matchup there. St. Thomas is going to go to Bowling Green, and Bemidji State is taking on Northern Michigan. Minnesota State has the bye, which is good for them, I guess. I think they're undefeated in the conference, so nice little bye week might get them off their game for next week. But yeah, and then Saturday we take on Mercyhurst. Going to be a good time.
Going to be a good time. I'll be on the call with Harrison. Joe will be on the stats and replay crew.
You know what's up?
So if you see us, come say hi.
I'll be head of the post-game press conference too. So
that's true.
I'm my voice up in there.
Yeah, you'll hear us. So if you come find us, tell us you love the podcast. We'd love to find and hear you, all the loyal fans out there.
To be honest,
huh?
have a feeling most people don't know what we look like.
Oh, I think we do. There's
we
probably
we are
stuff.
tagged and stuff. So
Yeah,
you
we're
see what we
tagged,
look
and
like.
you probably see photos of us on social media within the accounts and stuff. So come find us, say hi. We'd love to hear your input on the show. We'd love to see the fans out there. Maybe we do like a fan meetup one of those times if we ever blow up on the show.
I
Gotta need
feel like
a little
not a
bit.
lot of people would show up to that.
No, probably not. But hey, we can dream, right?
Two men can dream.
Two
That's
men
what
can
we
dream.
want.
Anyway, moving over to the Gridiron, Wayne State, the location of battle this weekend.
Motown.
So Wayne State hosts us, Ferris State. Obviously, this will be the final regular season game. Last chance to prove yourself for a lot of teams on the bubble before the postseason. Coming off a really nice performance defensively and offensively against Davenport. Obviously, we mentioned on the last show, which you can check that out in the feed below wherever you get this podcast. Defense played phenomenal. Offense definitely wasn't the best, but definitely had enough to get the job done and threw a lot of different looks at Davenport. So we'll certainly see that creativity against Wayne State for sure. A team that we know we have confidence against, go over the historical records. But definitely a chance for to really tighten things up. It kind of feels like a tune-up game, if it kind of feels like that. And that's no disrespect to Wayne State. They're still a very good football team. But no matter who you play the last week, you're looking at postseason, especially in our aspect and a lot of other teams around Division II. You're really kind of looking at where you almost might be looking ahead a little bit. Obviously, you're focused on winning this game, but there's going to be teams out there that are going to be looking at, we got some different looks here potentially that we can throw in the postseason. Maybe try those out, maybe see what kind of different personnel you see, because obviously Wayne State, for them, they're in a situation where they got nothing to lose. They're going to bring absolutely every wrench and throw it our way. So.
Yeah, it's going to be a good one, I think. It's like you said, a tune-up game, sort of, especially getting ready for it. Wayne State's a team who, at the start when they played Grand Valley, kind of gave them a little bit of a fits. They were up, I think, 7-0 or something like that in the first quarter. Of course, Grand Valley kind of took away with it at the end of the game. But I think this one can be a really good test for us, especially just kind of more just staying disciplined in a lot of ways. Caleb Murphy is on the watch for breaking I think it's the D2 national sack record of all time, as well as school record and GLIAC record. So got to keep an eye out for that. Hopefully he's able to break that, because that would be huge for the program. But it's going to be a pretty solid test for a lot of GLIAC teams this week. Saginaw Valley is taking on Michigan Tech. Grand Valley is playing Davenport. Davenport could play upset, and the chance of that might be slim, but we might be able to see a three-way tie for first place in the GLIAC, which would be pretty cool. But that's going to be a tough one for them. I think it's at Lubbers. No, it's at Davenport. So Grand Valley's got to end their regular season on the road, and Northern Michigan is taking on Lake Erie in a big noon kickoff, which is surprising. But yeah, like I said, Ferris State, we got a good chance to really just kind of clean the rust off of some places that we need to get going, especially for playoffs. And if we play good here, we might lock up 2 host games for playoffs as well.
Yeah, it's certainly going to be fun. I did actually, of course, recording this Thursday. It'll be released Friday morning for all those that are tuning in. We had practice this morning, and we obviously go to the athletic complex and actually saw Caleb Murphy kind of running in as they were going into practice. Let me tell you what, he was amped up, ready for practice today. Mm-hmm. So you can tell that he knows how much this game means, and with a record on the line. Obviously, as we talked to him later or earlier on in the show, he's definitely a team-first guy. But, I mean, definitely to be able to etch your name into the record books is a super cool opportunity. And obviously, being able to be a national champion and what this team has done, we look forward to nothing but the best for this team moving forward. Close it out the regular season on a high note, look for postseason, and let's rock and roll.
Yeah, let's get after it. Can't wait to see what the fellas do.
Yeah, absolutely. So women's soccer is in action. This is kind of a tough spot for us, obviously, recording this. They will be kicking off just momentarily before this game or before this podcast is released on Friday. They'll actually be playing on Thursday at 3 o'clock. We're recording at 2 o'clock Eastern time. Of course, making sure everything's post-produced and everything's getting on track for you guys Friday morning.
Yes, sir.
So kind of in a tough spot. We can't really we'll obviously give our last-minute preview here, but obviously the game will have ended by the time you hear this.
People will figure it out.
But I think the biggest thing for us to win this game, and I hope that this comes true and that we're able to advance from the first round to the second round on Saturday, we've got to make sure we're able to establish the offense early. And I think when we look back at the September 2nd game where we played this team on our home turf, we definitely had fits trying to get the offense going, especially through the middle of the field. I mean, the biggest thing from the early part of the season, the attacking third, the attacking third, the attacking third. We had talked to a couple of players, including Izzy Zamborini, Isabella Sabo, that mentioned that was their biggest focal point early on in the first half of the season. Now we've done a much better job of getting quality looks over the last month. So being able to carry that over, this is a different team, Joe, I think. My personal opinion, than we saw in the first half. I know a lot of the other players would agree. I know the fans would agree. But I really like our chances this weekend. Obviously, we're the 6th seed and Ashland's the 3rd, so on paper, they're a better team. But we have a good chance to win this game as long as we're able to keep that defensive momentum going. We've played really well. Obviously, the Grand Valley was a bump in the road, but it's hard to take on that high-powered of an offense for any team altogether. But and I think we really like our chances. Just got to be able to work the ball outside, inside, able to get some good crossing opportunities, some breakaways, and I think we're going to have a really good shot to win this game. I'm really looking forward to seeing how this team plays.
Yeah, me too. Ashland is a team that, we were looking to beat them at the start, but they were a team that was kind of pretty high ranked near the start of the season, kind of preseason and stuff like that. But, as time has gone on, we really improved, like you said, going from more of a, one-dimensional team. We've really been able to spread it out and really get more quality looks. But, yeah, I think the good thing of us losing to Grand Valley, I think it lit a good fire under us because they were getting ready to get after us. But, we saw it when we went to go to a couple meetings at Wheeler Pavilion. They were out, at night, dark out. It's getting pretty cold, and they're still grinding at practice for, hour or two at 9 o'clock at night. So that's big time for them. But I think especially when you look at Ashland, they're a team that has that, they were playing host last year. They're a team that's, pretty high up in the rankings in the region, and they're a very technically solid team, and their goalkeeper is also very good. So it's going to take a strong effort to beat them, but hey, we've played upset and we've played good teams before. So it's going to be a big one, but I think we'll be able to push through.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a fantastic match. Of course, we'll get the full recap of hopefully all the weekend activity for them on next week's show, so make sure you subscribe for that. Anyway, moving over now, volleyball advances. Quarterfinal win on Wednesday night against Lake Superior State. Yes, it was a long night, Joe. I feel you on that yawn there. But it was a really nice game overall from the women's volleyball team. I think we saw exactly what we wanted to see. I give credit to Lake State. Being able to see them, it was an immense improvement. I couldn't stress this enough on the call last night. They look so much better, especially from when we played them at their place, and they got better to when they came to our place to finish out the regular season 2 weeks ago, and then they played even better last night. Even though they came up short in the 3-0 game, I thought they still threw a lot of really good opportunities at us, and I know Coach Brandon Wilhelm mentioned that in the post game. They threw a lot of wrenches our way, so that was something really good to see, being able to find those on film and really go back and be able to dissect those and what happened in these certain situations. What do they need to change? Because, I give credit to Lake Superior State. They played a really good game, but obviously we were able to secure the W. Emma Bleacher by far was just lights out in this game, 15.5 points individually. Olivia Henneman-Delape had 9 to lead Ferris State, but it was an all-around team effort, of course. Everybody contributed in a major way. But I think really you saw a lot of great things in this game. They've got a lot of momentum, but we did a great job of responding and able to make runs of our own to get back in the game and even take the lead. And now having home court advantage, that's going to make the job a lot easier moving forward into the semis and hopefully the finals.
That's for sure. Especially last night, it was like a tough one. Because you really had Lake State was kind of one-dimensional, but they're one-dimension, especially their number 8, Mariana Velasquez, I think is how you pronounce her name. Lights out. She was bringing the hammer down every time that she was up for a spike. It just was like you could hear the sound of that basically from the concourse. What it was like. She was really bringing the pain with that one. But I think especially we were able to kind of pick it up near the end. Really play some good defense. Olivia and Cyan. Olivia and Cyan, they really did a good job of kind of locking that down, got some block assists and some solo blocks, which was pretty huge. But I think the big thing is just kind of keep up that consistency and keep up kind of just spreading the ball around. Kaylee Mauch has been lights out, just putting the ball right where it needs to be for our hitters, which is a big thing. And, when you look at last night, Emma Bleacher was a very pleasant surprise. we've seen her kind of have breakout games, but to be able to have it this late in the season and really start to pick up on post-game is going to be huge. You expect Olivia Henneman-Delape to do really well. Hannah comes as well when she comes in to serve. She's been, 2-3 aces a game almost every time she serves.
You need those.
So that is, very, very clutch. And I think you're going to see a lot of players on this team kind of hit their stride, especially this next game. I think it's Friday? We play.
Yep, 4 o'clock.
Michigan Tech.
Michigan Tech coming to town. That will be a good team for sure. Not the most offensive powerhouse team like a Grand Valley
Not
or
as good as last year.
a Davenport or a Northern, for example. But defensively, they are very good. They are one of the best in the GLIAC at being able to be very clean with receptions, being able to dig out a lot of opposing attempts. They're a defense-strong team to convert to offense, so they're going to definitely be looking to take away our offensive attacks defensively and turn that into offense. We saw Lake State do a little bit of that last night, but Michigan Tech, this is a team that last year was the number 2 seed. So they're going to be bringing the heat. We know this is a very good matchup for a 1v5. It's going to look a lot closer than you see by those seed numbers, but Michigan Tech is a very, very good team. They have bringing a lot of those players that they had last year. And this is a revenge game for them. We took them down in the title game at Houghton last year, so you got to know that's going to be in the back of their minds to set revenge for last year's team. But it's going to be a fantastic match. I encourage everybody to come out Friday, 4 o'clock. Students, bring your ID. You're going to get in free, but you got to make sure you get there early, though. I believe there's a certain number. Is it 100 or 200 first free? I think it's normally always free, but this is obviously GLIAC postseason play, so we got to charge the ticket money.
It's the dance, man.
Just the way it is. Got to pay the bills, unfortunately,
yeah,
but
that's true.
Still come out. This is going to be a fun game.
We didn't host last year? I mean, we hosted regionals, but...
For regionals, GLIACs, because Michigan Tech was the number 1 seed, and then we flipped over top of them after the conference tournament to host the regional.
I'll be darned.
Yeah, going to be a fun one.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. I cannot wait. I won't be there Friday to do stats, which is, I mean, bittersweet, I guess. I won't have to sit for 4 hours in those uncomfortable chairs. But
sure.
I'll be there for the championship game, so that's going to be big time.
That'll be fun for sure. Winner of that game will take on the upset-ridden Grand Valley State, beating Davenport last night. I won't say I'm this shocked.
I'm surprised, not gonna lie.
I'm actually not as much surprised.
Really?
Grand Valley offensively is one of the best teams in the GLIAC. As a 6 seed, that's dangerous, and when they're clicking, they are clicking. And Davenport, to me,
say the same thing about Davenport, though.
Davenport is a very good offense. The only problem is they're very one-dimensional offensively. They're not as good defensively, which, I mean, they are number 2 overall in defense, but I mean, when you really look at their team overall, I mean, Haley Krieger brings a lot of their offense, so you could kind of see us be able to dissect that a little bit. But I think we'll see Davenport again. They might hang on to a potential regional spot. We'll see. I think they came in at 9th, so obviously not everything working for them. But first round of GLVC and GMAC will be taken on. Will be starting this Thursday, so it'll be today as a recording. Yesterday, so any of those first teams fall out, might be an opening for Davenport. We'll see. So we might see them again. We'll see. And we also moved up to number 2, I believe, this week in the rankings. So as much crazy as it might be, Joe, there is an outside slim chance that we might host regionals. Very, very short.
Please no.
What do you mean?
I do not want to host. Dude, I did rant sesh real quick, all right? Last year, I had to work like 2 10-hour days for volleyball.
Yeah.
Because we had, 4 games a day? And almost every game went to 5 sets.
Yeah.
You know how tough that is on my old caboose sitting in those plastic chairs? I got no wiggle room with my legs.
I was standing up that whole time.
I'm 6'1". I am probably 4 feet of legs. Man, I got long legs. I am very disproportionate. I look like Mike Wazowski, basically, is what it is. I got a Mike Wazowski belt.
Oh, my gracious.
Second, we only got beat up like once. I didn't get a lot of food that day. I was pretty ornery, as they would say.
But we got the bistro.
Yeah, that is true.
We got the bistro
I
now,
gotta pay
Joe.
for the bistro. I didn't have to pay
What?
for food.
You don't have swipes?
No.
What?
I don't go to those places.
Come on,
enough.
man.
Okay, well, let's be honest here. Let's be honest. A brisket mac is what, $6 there?
Just about.
A meal swipe is a meal swipe pack, like 25 is like $250, right? 200 some?
Give or take.
Give or take a few. It's cheaper.
Probably more than that.
It's cheaper to just buy it than it is to get swipes, you know? Because I'm not getting
kind
that
of,
much
yeah.
food there.
Just depends how much food you get, obviously.
Yeah. I mean, but that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. Glad the bistro's there. Great food.
Yeah.
I'm just really glad. I'm just hoping, praying that we don't have to host.
Nah. It is what it is. I would love to call it and be able Actually, I won't be able to call part of it, though, because I'll be over in Kenosha to race for regionals.
Well, I mean, the only cool part would be the paycheck after. But I mean,
we like paychecks. But here's the thing. Quincy runs out, wins the GLVC. They're in the clear. They're going to take the whole – they're going to host. So, but obviously a lot of at stake for volleyball coming up. Certainly going to be fun to see those matchups go because – there's other conference tournaments could have a pretty big influence on the regional rankings, and that might see who gets a postseason ticket or not.
I'm hoping Quincy wins.
Especially for Northern right now. They're sitting at 8, so if they are able to get through a couple games and GMAT gets an upset, or like Hillsdale, for example, or Ashland, there's another seat open there for Northern Michigan to move up, and we might have to face them round 1.
That'll be tough.
Very much lots at stake coming up. Finishing out the Ferris State Sports Report, basketball, both men's and women's, will be in action this weekend. We'll start over with men's. They will be traveling. I believe they're already on their way to the Robert Garrett Crossover Classic in Nashville. They'll be taking on Trevecca Nazarene and Southwest Baptist. Friday, they'll be at 6:30. Southwest Baptist on Saturday at 2 p.m. Should be fun to get the regular season started against two teams that are very, very good. So being able to see that will be excellent. We got to see a little bit of them against Calvin, as well as for those that were at Chrysler against U of M. Saw some really good things. This team definitely has a lot of different ways that they can score and defend the basketball. And it's a different look of a team. It's not going to be as shooting heavy as we've seen in years past. We have a little bit more aggression, being able to drive inside. With that, obviously, comes the risk of being out of position and being a little bit too block-heavy defensively, which we did see also as well. But lots of time to figure it out. The first couple of games are going to be interesting. Obviously, in Nashville, you're going to have the travels and the bus lag, if you may. But I really like our chances. I think Coach Bronkma, with his new coaching staff, have this team in the right direction. And obviously, we'll look forward to seeing the results this weekend.
Yeah, this is going to be pretty sick. I can't wait to see it. I think this is going to be a good test. Kind of getting ready before we have like a good amount of teams before conference play starts. And you know who we start with conference play?
The Big Dogs.
Big Dogs, GV.
Yeah.
They're going to be at home. So that means...
Buckle up.
Yeah, going to be pretty huge, and cannot wait for that one. We had actually a pretty solid amount of games before. We got to play Minnesota Duluth, too, battle the Bulldogs.
Yeah, remember that one last year on New Year's?
107 to 109.
That was a crazy ball game, man.
Yeah, that was crazy.
That was insane.
That was probably one of the best basketball games I've seen here.
Oh, hands down, 100%. Yeah, that'll be a fun matchup. Wish we could see
of
that
the
in
old
person.
2018 National Championship against Northern State.
Woo!
7 p.m. on November 18th.
That's right. Good memory, Joe.
No worries,
What
dude.
a game that was, too.
Steel Trap Mine, dog.
Yeah, I remember watching that on spring break in a Florida resort condo.
I remember watching it.
That was crazy.
Well, I didn't go to Florida. I wasn't that cool. But I remember watching it in my living room on the old, I think it was WGZM 13.
Yeah, that was a fun game for sure.
That was a big one.
Also, women's will be in action this weekend. Saw their bus actually just leaving today. They'll be in action tonight, 6 o'clock at Ohio Dominican, former GLIAC team from a couple years ago, and Cedarville.
They were
taking on the Yellow Jackets. Yes, that is correct. The Ohio Dominican was in the GLIAC at one point.
I wouldn't say. I gotta look up who used to be in the GLIAC because
Ohio Dominican used to be Ashland,
GLIAC,
Tiffin, Findlay, a lot of those Ohio teams, and then the GMAT came across and they kind of banded themselves up.
Former members.
Yeah.
Gannon used to be a part of it. University of Findlay, Ashland, Hillsdale, Lake Erie, Malone, What?
Mercyhurst, that's correct.
When did they leave?
A while ago.
2008 is when.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I was like 16. No way.
Malone left in 2016.
That sounds like Malone and Tiffin when they all left was around 16, 17.
Northwood did a little double dip with joining and leaving. Did you know that they left in 1987?
Northwood?
Yeah, then they joined back in 92, and then they left in 2022.
Yeah, they realized that it was actually a pretty good conference, so they came back.
Oakland, obviously, now they're D1.
Yep.
High Dominican, Tiffin, Walsh, Westminster.
Yeah, a lot of teams that used to be in the GLIAC. And one more coming to you, and I believe the end of this year to next year. Roosevelt University, just outside Chicago, will be joining.
Oh, shoot.
Well.
Look
so
at
they'll
that.
be filling a spot there. That was announced a little while ago. But it'll be very interesting to see them, how they compete with a lot of these teams in their first year in Division II. So very interesting. So that's going to wrap up the Ferris State Sports Report. When we come back, NFL picks are back. Me and Joe are going to duke it out. We'll see who comes out on top. Stay tuned. Are you a Ferris State student interested in getting into audio production, music, podcasting, or even DJing? Bulldog Radio could be the place for you with plenty of opportunities and hands-on experience within not only these realms, but the marketing and social media opportunities outside. Join us to have your voice heard. No other place than Bulldog Radio.
And we're back from our quick little break. Brandon and I just had a quick debate on which logos in the GLIAC were the best looking. And
ours is best.
Ours is best. I mean, no bias. No bias at all.
No bias.
Absolutely no bias. Grand Valley is obviously bottom because it's just a G and a B. But anyways, going to hop into NFL. Been a little bit of a break from that as well. Haven't done anything from week 6, but I'm still ahead 3-2 in the old pick spots. Going to pick it up on week 10. Going to be kind of quick as we're getting a little bit cut for time, so we'll hop right into it. Kind of just like a choose, quick little anecdote, no further questions.
Yeah, minute a game?
Mm-hmm. Yes,
Let's
sir.
do it.
Let's rock, Brandon.
Thursday night, Falcons at Panthers, Joe.
Falcons.
Falcons come in at 4-5, and you're picking Atlanta.
I'm going to pick Atlanta. I think they're going to be doing pretty good. Kyle Pitts is going to get a little bit more volume, and Carolina just does not do it for me.
You don't trust Deontay Foreman to run over the Falcons?
No.
Well, he definitely still can, and they will still lose. I'm going to go with the Falcons as well. 24-17. Thursday night games have been trajectory some of the worst scoring games, so I will keep that trend rolling. But I think the Falcons get to 500, Joe. They might be on top of the NFC South then.
Well, you could. You could possibly. What did you say for score?
That's crazy. What did I say? 24-17. Falcons over the Panthers. There you go. 9:30 London game, is that correct? Buccaneers against Seattle at 9:30. The Seahawks are the better team on paper, Joe. You going with Geno Smith?
They wrote me off. I ain't right back, though. Seattle's going to win this one.
Okay.
Geno's that guy. Kenneth Walker's also that guy. Tampa Bay's been struggling to find identity ever since Tom Brady's divorce got finalized. And they're going to bring Munich, Germany, the best football game they've ever seen.
Oh, it is Germany. That's right. Thank you for that clarification.
Seattle's going to win 24-10.
Okay, there you go. I'll play contrarian. I'll go with Mr. Thomas Edward Patrick Brady.
Okay, Travis Hicks.
Oh, that was a good shout out. Travis, if you're listening, homie, good to see you again. Buccaneers, I think, have the defense to get it back on track against Seattle. I think this could be a little bit of a trap game for Geno Smith. I think the defense steps up. I don't think it'll be the same as the last meeting where it was a 40-30 type game. I expect the Buccaneers to win this one. In a tight one, I think it's going to be more along the lines of 28-27. Buccaneers pull out another close victory for Todd Bowles. Imagine? Just wait till it happens, brother.
Yeah, could you imagine?
That's all I can say. That's all I can say. Next game on deck here as my schedule reloads. Thank you so much, Microsoft, for
Ferris State internet.
Getting that.
Minnesota versus
Jeopardy.
Buffalo is where I.
All right, let's go with that one. Minnesota against Buffalo. This is a good
It's
game.
gonna be solid.
I'm gonna.
7-1 Minnesota versus 6-2 Buffalo.
Yeah, that's gonna be a good game. I
Who
can't.
you rocking with?
I'm going to go with the Bills. As much as I want to pick the Vikings, we got to make ground on them somehow as Detroit fans, so let's pick this game to do so. I think this is a big bounce-back game. As long as Josh Allen plays.
Yeah, I was going to say he's questionable.
If it's Case Keenum, I like the Vikes instead. But I trust Josh Allen's that dude. He's going to be ready for this game. I think Buffalo's defense gets back on track. They're going to limit Dalvin Cook and make Kirk Cousins throw all over the place. It is a 1 o'clock game, though, and we know what Kirk Cousins does on 1 o'clock games, so I'm a little nervous, but I think Buffalo's going to squeak this one out. 35-31 final. Buffalo wins.
I know. Minnesota adding Hawkinson, I think, is going to be the big difference maker here. As much as I hate to see it because I have Josh Allen starting for me, Minnesota's going to win this one probably by, I'm not going to say 2 scores. It's going to be probably like a 27-20 win.
Okay, that's a good pick. Next one, Lions at Soldier Field taking on Justin Fields and the Bears. And you know what that means. Kool-Aid filter is in effect. Lions win this one. Here's why. Bears offensively looked very good last week. They played a phenomenal game, being able to actually score the football, believe it or not. The Bears actually did that.
Well, Justin Fields scored this football.
Right. Justin Fields really was the reason that team won, and I don't see the consistency from that team. If the Lions can shut down the run game, their pass coverage, obviously, thank you, Aubrey Pleasant, for your service, but their defensive backroom looked great last week, and I'm going to roll with what I see, And I think this could be a really big game for the Lions, especially offensively. The Bears have been a stingy defense, but the last couple of weeks, injuries and just bad play calling have given them some problems, especially last week when they kind of threw that game away despite a good effort offensively. Give me the Detroit Lions to win this game 23-20 against the Chicago Bears.
Sorry, I have like a weird water droplets on my screen.
Oh, no.
Hey, my bad. Yeah, my water cup sprayed all over the place. Yeah, I'm going to also sip on the blue Kool-Aid.
There you go.
Win this one.
All right, there you go.
I mean, we kind of have to. I mean, we made that pact already.
Yeah, we made the pack and we sticking to it. Next game.
What did you say for a score, sorry?
Score I said was 23-20. Detroit beats Chicago. Have we gotten any scores correct yet this year?
I doubt it. Heavily doubt it.
I don't think so. I got one 2 years ago. I think in the Kansas City Monday night game when it was 35-23. I remember calling that one.
It's gonna be another low scoring game.
Yeah, Tony Romo called one earlier this year though too. What was it? Buffalo against
Buffalo and Kansas City.
Kansas City was like 24-20 game.
24-20 game.
Yeah, and then he said it exactly.
In the first quarter.
Speaking of the Chiefs, they're taking on the Jaguars. 1:00 start time on CBS. Wonder who'll be calling that one. I'm gonna take the Chiefs. Offense figured it out last week is the word to say. It looked like Tennessee was giving him fits, and then, Pat Mahomes turned into Pat Mahomes in the second half, and I expect he continues that despite the Jaguars winning last week. I think the Chiefs' offense is showing good signs, and I think they're going to give Jacksonville's defense a lot of fits. 42-28, the final I have in that one. Patty Mahomes and the Chiefs roll against Jacksonville.
Yeah. Jacksonville, unless ETN just has a day, I don't think they're going to be able to really keep up in this one. ETN has obviously been picking it up a little bit these past couple of weeks. I think we talked about that on the fantasy podcast as well. But
shout out.
Kansas City, yeah, shameless plug. Kansas City, yeah, 28-15. Kansas City's going to win this one.
Okay, there you go.
Their offense is just clicking right now.
Yeah, next game, Dolphins hosting the Cleveland Browns. I think this is a trap game for Miami at Hard Rock. I think when you look at this game, it's very interesting because I think the predictors would be somewhere around Dolphins have a 60 to 70% chance of winning most likely, especially being at home, that being a factor. But the Browns have had the Dolphins number, and that's why I'm going to call the upset here and take the Browns, and here's why. The Dolphins with Tua have been fantastic. The defense has been And even though that they've, over the last couple of games, they've held some teams overall to lower point totals, I mean, they gave up 32 to the Bears last week. That's not great. And over the last couple of games, they've given up way too many points. They gave up 27 to Detroit, 32 to the Bears. Ever since the Steelers and Vikings games when their defense was actually that good, which they also gave up 40 to the New York Jets. And obviously that was with Tua still being out. But I'm going to take the Browns because Nick Chubb, I think, is going to have a big game. I think Jacoby Brissett is going to be good enough for them to win the game. And I think the Browns finally are going to get Jadeveon Clowney as well as Myles Garrett back to their normal selves. And I think they're going to give Tua a really hard time throwing the football. And I think that overall, if I'm going to take a running game between the Browns and the Dolphins, I'm going to take the Browns. So I'm going to tell them as an upset and a close one. I'm going to call this one 27-24. The Browns beat the Dolphins and shake up the tables just a smidge.
Let Jacoby cook it up.
Really?
I'm going to play the same thing.
Yeah.
I hate to do it.
Let's go.
I hate to do it just for sake of argument or anything like that, but I don't know. I just got a feeling Jacoby's going to play pretty well. I feel like I'm going to be wrong, but I just want Jacoby to succeed.
Yeah, this one feels like a trap game.
Tua just came back last week, but hey, I mean, concussion protocol is a little bit spotty.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
Who knows what could happen in this game?
Who knows what can happen in this game? Another trap game, the Giants hosting the Texans. Texans have only won one game, Joe. Is this one where we can see them sneak out win number 2 on the season against Brian Daboll? It's a good question because it is honestly a little bit of a trap game, and it's too lopsided record-wise.
No, New York's win this one.
You think so?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll agree with you.
17-14.
That score. I really like that score.
I was going to say 20-14
as
a fix, but I'll stick with 17-14.
Okay, then I'll take 20-14 then.
17-14.
I think this will be a low-scoring game. I think it's going to be a lot closer than people
14.
think. Giants should theoretically roll this game, but they're not a team normally that's ready to roll.
All right.
There we go.
Let's rock.
Saints at Steelers. Battle of 6 lost teams at 1 o'clock on Fox. Boy, that's going to be an absolute barn burner for TV ratings.
This is the stuff that you really pay for. This is what you pay cable for, folks, is this game right here. This one's going to be crazy. No, just kidding. I think New Orleans might win this one. Pittsburgh, TJ Watt is slowly making his way back. He's not going to be able to play this game, so our defense, I feel like, is still going to struggle just a little bit. New Orleans, I mean, you got Andy Dalton. They were kind of picking it up a little bit, especially with last week. I think you're going to see New Orleans pick this one up, though, 25 to 21.
Okay, there you go. I'm going to stay safe and go with their projector here and take the Saints as well. I think with how Kenny Pickett has played, I think you're seeing a little bit better, but he's still
so spotty.
The defensive front for New Orleans is going to give Najee Harris problems. I would love to pick him as a breakout game, which he very well could, but I just haven't seen enough to be confident in that team. Alvin Kamara's looked better by himself, obviously without Michael Thomas. You can look at their stock being a little depleted, but Chris Olave fills the hole easily. I'm going to take the Saints in that defense in a slugfest. I think it's going to be, what's the score? I haven't picked yet. Let's go with 21-16. That's a weird enough score. I think we can roll with that one.
21-16.
Yeah, there you go. Next game on deck, we got Broncos. Let's ride against the Titans.
Broncos country. Russ is cooking up something. It's going to be terrible, though. Tennessee's going to win this one. Derrick Henry's going to go crazy. Derrick Henry's going to have a huge game. I feel like he's going to be leader of fantasy. Or pretty dang close. Probably top 3 in fantasy points-wise. Denver is just like... Russ feel like last week, and especially they're winning like the UK or whatever, Russ acted like that was like he won the Super Bowl at that. He's just like, yeah, like we fought really hard. But you're doing high knees on the plane for 4 hours. Like and you go in and you barely beat the Jaguars. Like you're not going to beat Tennessee. Tennessee's way better than the Jaguars. You're going to see Derrick Henry run all of them is basically what I'm going to say. And Russ is not going to know how to throw football again. I don't know why they're paying him $230 million. Tennessee's going to win this one. Derrick Henry's going to have 3 touchdowns and like 250 yards.
Ooh, that's a big stat line. Oh, man. I think this is an interesting one. Just looking at some of the other games. I want to pick the Broncos. It just seems like one of those games that they might be able to squeak out maybe. But then I look at the stat sheet, and the way that they've played on the road this season has not been very good. So that does frighten me. I believe, if I remember correctly, here I'll double-check the schedule just to make sure. Overall, in road games this year, they have lost 1, 2, 3, almost 4 road games in their 4 tries, and the only one they've won this season was last week against Jacksonville at Wembley. They're coming off the bye, so they might be better. But I think this is still going to be a tough game for them to win. Give me the Titans barely. I think their defense is a little slumped down. Mike Vrabel is going to get the job done. I'm going to go with this one to be a little more high scoring, 28-24. Titans sneak one out against the Broncos, and they're sitting at 3-6 on the year. Let's ride into oblivion and mediocrity.
Let's ride into being a bad football team. Next game, Brendan.
Yes, next game here. This one I think this is going to be one where we might split it up here. Colts debut for Jeff Saturday as the head coach, taking on Vegas in Nevada. The 2-6 Raiders.
Allegiant Stadium. Who you got, Brendan?
Give me the Raiders. As much as I love Jeff Saturday to come out of the deck with an absolute win, he called the Raiders trash last week.
Dang, really?
And did you see that on Twitter? He said the Raiders are bad on Twitter. And then the next week, he gets hired as the head coach of the Colts. And who do they play first? The Vegas Raiders. And that's going to bite him in the butt. Raiders are too good of a team to be 2-7. That's for dang sure. Josh McDaniel, if you're listening out there, don't be conservative. Be aggressive and pound it against this depleted Colts defense. Their offense ain't going to win the game, so you got to be able to score the football. And you do so well in New England, you got to do it now. Your job might be on the line. Don't believe Mr. Davis won't send you out of there after week 1, so you got to figure it out. This is a game where they turn it around. Give me the Raiders 33-30 over the Colts in a high-scoring thriller. Because both defenses, frankly, have not played well.
Dang, that's pretty high. Yeah, I knew it was going to probably be pretty high-scoring, seeing that both of these defenses are straight-up buns. But
I like that word.
I'm going to play a little contrarian here. Indy is going to go after it.
I like it.
Pittman has been disappointing. Let's be real. Let's be honest. My Be Real notification just came up. Michael Pittman has been pretty abysmal so far. I think he's going to have a good game. Jeff Saturday's going to come back. He's going to recognize what they do well on offense, and it's going to be, hey, feed it to Pittman. Let's see what happens, and let's get it rocking. Colts are going to win this one 28-22.
Okay, that'd be a big win for Jeff Saturday in his debut. Cowboys at Packers, arguable game of the week here at Lambeau.
America's team.
Packers have lost 5 in a row, Joe. Do they make it 6?
Yes.
Yes, you're going with the Cowboys.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Get Jerry on the phone. Get Jerry Jones on the phone. Tell him to call me up. I got utter confidence in this team. Green Bay losing to Lions last week. They're not even going to know what's going to go on.
Yep.
Like Aaron Rodgers, dude. Aaron Rodgers throws 3 picks, right? He throws 3 picks. Second one, he's stomping his feet like a little girl because he can't even handle it.
Sure.
And then he throws one to Aiden Hutchinson. Funniest thing I've ever seen. Love to see it. Huge for the program. Dallas is going to win this one. Let's say it's going to Dak's going to go off 28-10.
Okay. This is interesting. Packers this season at home have won 3 of 5 games at home this season. This is their toughest game yet at home. Arguably, the next closest one would be the Giants or the Patriots, whichever one you can put in there, which they also lost one of those games. I think that does just enough to stifle them. I think that they will beat the Cowboys. As much as I hate to say it, it just doesn't make sense. The streak's going to have to come to the end. They're not going to run the table. That's for dang sure. You can mark my words on that. But I think they do enough just to squeak out the Cowboys on the road. I'll be very interested to see what they do. I think Dallas loses this game. I think that overall their passing attack gets depleted. And then we'll see Jerry bring in Odell Beckham Jr. next week. Mark my words. Green Bay wins 17-14. I already used that score. 28-21. There you go. Simple 1 touchdown game.
Respect, man.
Okay, here we go. Next game on the docket here.
Second prime time.
Prime time?
Kind of, sort of. I mean, it's
kind of. I mean, you could make the argument. Cardinals at Rams. 3-win teams, but definitely teams that have much more higher power than we've seen in the record sheets. So, I like. Who
Arizona.
do I like?
Arizona's going to win this one.
You like Arizona?
We already talked about it. I mean, we already talked about how bad the Rams' offensive line is with just how depleted they are. I think J.J. Watt's going to have a field day. In Arizona, I mean, the offense is just, I would say, clicking. I haven't really been paying attention too much. I mean, D-Hop being back, I have him on my fantasy team, and he's just killing it. So Arizona's going to have no problem on the offense, and I think defense is going to really pick it up and play pretty solidly because the disconnect between Matt Stafford and his offensive line is just way too much, and that's been the reason why they've been losing games.
Okay, there you go. This one's interesting for me because I look at the offenses, and the Rams have done actually a pretty good job of keeping with opposing offenses in yards, and I think this has to be a game where, for the Rams, you got to break out. If you're going to want to catch Seattle and get up in the area with the 49ers going to play them later this season, you got to win this game. So I'll have a little faith to go with the Rams here, and we'll just play contrarian this week. We'll just go with opposite picks. That makes it cool. High-scoring game, though. I don't think the defenses are going to play as well as you saw back in September when it was a 20-12 game at Arizona in Glendale. I think this will be much more offensive. Slugfest 38-31. Rams over the Cardinals. No defense in this game whatsoever.
No shot.
Track meet.
Yeah.
Okay.
Last of the Sunday games.
Sunday night game. This
actual
is
primetime now.
Actual primetime now. You're right. Speaking of the 49ers, they're hosting the Chargers. Is this a game that Brandon Staley takes the dub for the Chargers, or is it Kyle Shanahan's show in San Fran?
It's going to be Kyle. I mean, it's going to be Kyle Shanahan's show, I think.
Okay.
No further explanation.
Yeah.
I just don't really know. I mean, Chargers kind of been a little bit of a disconnect, and then San Francisco I like it when Jimmy's back, and I like kind of what the 49ers are doing right now. So, 49ers going to win. Let's go 17-10.
Okay, good pick. I also like the Niners in this one. I think Christian McCaffrey is the difference maker. Believe what you see. As long as you keep him healthy, you keep Kittle healthy, you keep Ayuk healthy, I think they're going to bring a deadly 1-2-3 punch and I think they're going to continue their winning ways against the Chargers. Brandon Staley, he needs to prove himself a little bit better, and I think the Niners will squeak into the winning category. Give him 30-24 over the Chargers. They might make a mistake that costs them this game at the end. I'll make that prediction right now.
Respect, man. Hey, good pick, guy.
Thank you, sir.
Last one.
We're rounding out the show. Thanks for tuning with us here on this longer episode. Commanders at Eagles.
The Eagles are winning this one.
I agree. 9-0. Fly, Eagles, fly.
Hurts.
Perfect season.
Yeah, the approach that he has this game, if you saw the little interview that he had, he's like, I've been 8-0 before, or I've been 7-0 before, and I didn't win a national championship. We ain't done yet.
So
I
love that attitude.
I feel bad for Washington because Jalen Hurts is gonna come in with a vengeance, and that they've just been clicking, man. Like they've just been so good all the way around. You're gonna be able to see just a crazy game from him. You're gonna be seeing probably 2 to 3 picks on the defensive side.
I like it.
So Philadelphia's gonna win this one. They're gonna run the table. It's gonna be like a 35 to. We'll say 35-20 game.
Oh, that was close. I had 35-17 in my head. I'll keep with that one. I think this is going to be a dominant game for the Eagles. Be careful of a trap game, though. Tyler Heineke could be the answer. He could be the answer to sneak this out, but until I see different from that defense. Fly, Eagles, fly. The Phillies didn't get it done. Maybe it's the year for the Eagles. We'll have to wait and see. But those are our picks. Make sure to follow along next week to see who wins, and we'll monitor that as we go. A lot of time left, Joe, here in these picks to see who wins out in the end. I can't remember what our bet was.
We got a few. It was like dinner or something like that.
Oh, dinner or something. Sure. I'll take it to the quad if I lose. But
Use a quick little swipe.
Yeah, I'll swipe you in. Apparently, he doesn't have any, so it might actually be a luxury for Joe.
I had swipes last year. And I'm not on campus all the time. I go to the library sometimes in the morning to do homework on like Tuesdays and Fridays every once in a while. But I'm not on campus enough to warrant buying swipes. I'll just say that.
Okay.
And when I do go to the thing, I'll just pay the $10 to go eat. And I'll just eat a lot.
Yeah.
I'll eat so much.
It is all you can eat. So
which is good.
That is nice.
But I don't know. We'll see maybe next semester. I'll toss in a few money for some swipes, but who knows?
Who knows?
Let's close out the show, Brandon.
Let's close it out. Make sure you follow, subscribe on all of our platforms. New episodes coming out next week and for the rest of the semester and next year for sure. But until next time.
Take care, everybody.